We've all heard the name, synonymous with cunning, ruthlessness, and deceit. But what did Niccolò Machiavelli actually teach? His work, The Prince, is not a manifesto for evil, but a clinical dissection of powers, machinery, a map of the dark arts of influence that leaders and manipulators have used for centuries. This is the forbidden playbook, the unspoken rules of social control that operate beneath the surface of polite society. To understand it is not to endorse it, but to inoculate yourself against it. Let's pull back the velvet curtain and examine the cold, precise mechanics of manipulation as Machiavelli saw them, revealing the levers that move human behavior when morality is left off the table. Machiavelli's revolutionary and terrifying contribution was to completely separate the question of ethics from the question of efficacy. He was not interested in what a prince should do to be good, but in what a prince must do to secure and maintain power. This creates a purely pragmatic framework where any action, from grand generosity to brutal cruelty, is judged solely by its result. Manipulation, in this view, is not immoral. It is amoral, a tool like any other. This foundational split is what makes Machiavellian tactics so potent and disturbing. They operate in a vacuum of conscience, focused only on the gears and levers of human response. A cornerstone of Machiavellian manipulation is the deliberate management of perception. Machiavelli advised that a prince must cultivate a public image of virtue, mercy, and faith, while being prepared to act in the opposite manner if necessary. This is not mere hypocrisy. It is strategic, persona crafting. The manipulator understands that reality is less important than the belief in that reality. By controlling appearances, they control the narrative and the emotional responses of others. They become a walking Rorschach test, showing people what they need to see to inspire trust, fear, or loyalty, all while keeping their true intentions and capabilities hidden. Machiavelli's infamous dictum, "It is better to be feared than loved," is often misread as advocacy for terror. His true lesson is a psychological calculus of control. Love is fickle, dependent on the gratitude of others. Fear, however, is a lever the manipulator controls directly through their capacity for punishment. The master manipulator, following this logic, understands that a reputation for decisive, predictable retribution is a more reliable tool for securing obedience than hoping for sustained affection. They invest not in being liked, but in being consistently formidable, making inaction or disloyalty the more frightening option for their target. In a Machiavellian framework, honesty is not a principle. It is a currency to be spent with precision. Machiavelli told that a wise prince should keep his word only when it is advantageous to do so. This creates a potent manipulation tactic, the strategic promise. Promises are made freely to secure cooperation, with the tacit understanding they may be broken if circumstances change. This keeps others off balance, unable to build a stable prediction of the manipulator's behavior. The target is trapped in a cycle of hope and uncertainty, which itself becomes a form of control, as they strive to earn the consistency that is perpetually withheld. Machiavelli did not believe in waiting for threats to mature. He taught the doctrine of preemptive action, to injure decisively and all at once, or not at. For the manipulator, this translates to neutralizing dissent or rivalry early, often through subtle, non-confrontational means. They might spread discrediting information, isolate a potential rival socially, or create a minor scandal to distract and diminish. The goal is to eliminate challenges in their infancy, long before they can become a direct fight. This tactic ensures the manipulator's position remains unchallenged, as potential challengers are quietly removed from the board before they even know they were players. Even kindness is weaponized in the Machiavellian playbook. Machiavelli advised that benefits should be conferred gradually, so they may be enjoyed longer, but injuries should be inflicted all at once. The manipulator applies this through controlled, calculated benevolence. Favors are not given freely, but are strategic investments. Each act of help creates a debt, increases dependency, and is framed to maximize the recipient's sense of obligation. This turns generosity into a leash. The recipient feels grateful and indebted, not realizing their loyalty is being purchased and their autonomy slowly surrendered in exchange for carefully metered support. A master manipulator, following Machiavelli, does not create chaos from nothing. They exploit existing necessity. They identify a person or group's pressing need, a financial hole, a social vulnerability, a desperate desire, and position themselves as the sole solution. By controlling access to what the target needs most, they gain immense leverage. The target, gripped by their own urgency, would agree to terms they would normally refuse. Machiavelli understood that a person in crisis is highly malleable, and the manipulator's art lies in recognizing these moments of necessity and inserting themselves as the indispensable, controlling gateway to relief. Perhaps the darkest of Machiavelli's arts is crafting the illusion of free will. The manipulator's goal is not to command, but to arrange circumstances so the target chooses the manipulator's desired path, believing it to be their own idea. This is achieved by controlling information, shaping options, and subtly reinforcing the correct choice while making alternatives seem risky or unappealing. The target feels in control, which disarms suspicion and creates deep commitment to the outcome. Machiavelli's prince would rather his people choose to obey out of perceived self-interest than force them through obvious coercion, as this is a far more stable and efficient form of rule. Distraction is a powerful tool. Machiavelli understood that a prince could control the public narrative by creating compelling spectacles or emphasizing minor creases. A modern manipulator applies this through strategic misdirection. They will amplify a small problem, champion a hollow cause, or create a dramatic but ultimately inconsequential conflict. This focuses collective attention and energy on a staged theater. While they're true, significant maneuvers occur unnoticed in the shadows. By the time the real play is revealed, it is too late to oppose. This tactic ensures their agenda advances behind the smokescreen of public drama. Absolute control is not achieved through fear alone, but through engineered need. Machiavelli advised princes to make their citizens dependent on the state's authority. A manipulator translates this into personal power by systematically making themselves the sole source of something critical: approval, information, social access, or emotional validation. They become the gatekeeper. The target, needing this resource to function or feel secure, must continually seek their favor. This creates a power dynamic of patron and supplicant, where the manipulator's influence grows not from intimidation, but from the target's own perceived helplessness without them. At its core, Machiavellian manipulation is built on a pessimistic, but often accurate, cold reading of human nature. Machiavelli assumed people are self-interested, ungrateful, fickle, and deceitful. A skilled manipulator operates from this assumption, never trusting loyalty at face value and always looking for the hidden motive. This allows them to predict behavior with chilling accuracy. They don't appeal to your better angels. They appeal to your core drivers: greed, vanity, insecurity, and fear. By speaking directly to these shadow motives, they bypass your rational defenses and connect with the part of you that is most primal and easily led. Machiavelli was clear that a leader must be willing to sacrifice subordinates to maintain power or deflect blame. In manipulation, this manifests as the use of pawns. The manipulator will use intermediaries to deliver bad news, enforce unpopular rules, or conduct dirty work. These pawns absorb the resulting resentment and damage. When the cost becomes too high, the manipulator can sacrifice the pawn, presenting themselves as a corrective force. This tactic preserves the manipulator's clean image and plausible deniability, while ensuring the difficult, reputation-harming tasks are still completed on their behalf. Force means nothing without precision and timing. Machiavelli stressed the critical importance of acting at the precise moment when an action will have maximum impact and minimum resistance. A manipulator embodies this through strategic patience. They will withhold a favor until desperation peaks, or deliver a criticism when the target is emotionally vulnerable. They understand that the same action, delivered a day earlier or later, can fail utterly. This requires intense observation and emotional regulation, waiting for the perfect confluence of circumstances where their intervention will seem inevitable, natural, or irresistibly compelling. A profound Machiavellian tactic is the slow, deliberate reshaping of a shared reality. This goes beyond lying. It involves gradually altering narratives about past agreements, events, or conversations. The manipulator, like a prince rewriting history, will insist their version is correct, causing the target to doubt their own memory and perception. This gaslighting adjacent strategy destroys the target's trust in their own judgment, making them more reliant on the manipulator for a stable version of truth. It is a long-term investment in psychological control, securing power by dismantling the target's cognitive sovereignty. Machiavelli advised that injuries, if necessary, must be inflicted all at once. For the manipulator, this translates to the principle of concentrated force. When they move to discredit, punish, or remove an obstacle, they do so with overwhelming and decisive action. This serves two purposes. It eliminates the threat completely, and it serves as a terrifying spectacle to deter others. A slow, drawn-out conflict drains energy and allows for resistance. The Machiavellian manipulator seeks a swift, absolute resolution that demonstrates their power so conclusively that future challenges seem unthinkable. Ironically, a master manipulator may loudly simulate rigid moral principles. Machiavelli knew that a reputation for piety or integrity could be a powerful shield. They will adopt a cause, cite lofty ideals, or express moral outrage, not from conviction, but as tactical positioning. This performance disarms criticism, as challenging them appears to be an attack on virtue itself. It provides cover for self-serving actions, which are framed as difficult necessities for the greater good. This simulation recruits morality as an unwitting ally, making the manipulator's moves harder to oppose on emotional and social grounds. Machiavelli understood that sometimes apparent loss is a path to greater control. A master manipulator may employ strategic withdrawal, pulling back support, feigning disappointment, or even allowing a minor defeat. This tactic induces panic and confusion in the target, who has grown dependent on their presence or approval. The vacuum created forces the target to confront their own inadequacy, often leading them to beg for the manipulator's return on any terms. It is a power move disguised as a retreat, demonstrating that the manipulator's involvement is a privilege, not a right, and resetting the relationship with the manipulator firmly in command. Machiavelli's true lesson is not a call to manipulation, but a warning about its existence. The ultimate defense is comprehension. By studying these dark arts, you are not learning to become a manipulator. You are learning to see the wires and mirrors. You can spot the strategic persona, feel the engineered dependency, and recognize the preemptive strike. This knowledge renders you a difficult, if not impossible, target. The manipulator relies on your naivete. Take that how I, and their most potent tool vanishes. In the end, Machiavelli empowers you not to control others, but to ensure you are never so easily controlled. Machiavelli's teachings unveil a sobering truth. Human interaction has always been a battlefield of influence, where dark arts are practiced by those who study them. This is not a manifesto for evil, but a stark map of the territory. The principles of strategic persona, preemptive action, and engineered dependency are not fiction. They are the operational software of covert control in boardrooms, relationships, and politics. To be ignorant of this is to walk unarmed into a silent war. Your conscience is your compass, but this knowledge is your armor. Understanding manipulation does not require you to use it. It empowers you to recognize it, resist it, and refuse to be its pawn. The greatest power lies not in mastering these arts to control others, but in mastering this awareness to protect your own autonomy, integrity, and right to choose your path free from invisible strings.